All right, welcome back. You're watching Daybreak. I'm Victoria Rubadiri. We begin with the newspaper review. Let me introduce my panel. From my farthest left is Kiambu Senator Kimani Wamatangi. Thank you so much for coming in. As well as Kakamega Senator Boni Khalwale, who says he is the most senior on this panel, so he wanted to be on that side. I wonder what the proximity means. And we also have Senator Moses Kajwang, Homa Bay Senator. Thank you so much for coming in.
Good morning.
Let's take a look at Daily Nation. The front page here, Obado lured out of Ruto function and locked up. Police probing ownership of 3 out of 8 guns found in his home. It seems he can never get away from the jail cell too long. Let me begin with you, Senator Kajwang. What do you make of this recent rearrest of the governor?
Well, Victoria, good morning once more, and to our viewers. I'm very concerned with what is going on with Governor Obado because it affects operations and development in Migori County, a county that is a neighbor to Homa Bay County. And you're seeing a situation where the issues that are affecting Obado are not allowing this particular county to execute its development plan, to execute its agenda of lifting the people out of poverty. Because in as much as we're saying that counties are almost corporate entities, where a governor can be in jail and the county continues running, we are seeing it's like a Siamese twin, the governor and the operations of the county. When Obado is in the news, and this has gone on for about 2 months now, in fact about 3 months, because he spent 1 month in jail, and before that there was media presence, and even now there's media presence. So for me, I start from that perspective, that devolution is being frustrated in Migori as a result of the adventures or misadventures of Obado. Secondly, there is the association of Obado's problems with politics. And that political link is coming up that because of his association with Deputy President William Ruto, he is now being persecuted. Nothing can be further from the truth. In fact, an association with a Deputy President should grant you some political immunity. It should not lead you into persecution.
At least that's
it is
perceived.
Association with opposition politics that then should lead you into perceived persecution. I listened to the radio in the morning, particularly the vernacular radio that serves that particular region, and there was that narrative that was coming up that it was because of his recent association with DP. In fact, if you look at the headlines, it says Obado lured out of Ruto function.
Right.
It makes that association and relationship. If a man decides to keep 8 guns, what has politics got to do with that? If a man is accused of embezzling 2 billion Kenya shillings, what does politics have to do with that? If a man is accused of murder, what does politics have to do with that? What we pray is that these issues can be settled in a proper manner. The murder allegations, it is not for us to judge because the matters are already in court.
Right.
The corruption allegations of 2.5 billion is not for us to judge, even though as Public Accounts Committee of the Senate, we shall be calling him before us so that he can explain what he knows about that. And the gun running or gun ownership issues is also not for us to judge. But I wish that we could dissociate this with politics, and I wish that we could find a formula for Migori County to settle so that the 1 million residents of Migori can also enjoy devolution like the other counties.
Senator Wale, political elements at play in all of this? What do you make of it?
You know, listening to Senator Kajwang, I'm surprised. He's supposed to respond to the question, and the things he's saying have absolutely nothing to do with this headline. The point is, the police know how to do their job. We cannot, through this panel or any other panel, pretend that we can teach them how to do their work. On a matter like this, they need not do the kind of sensationalization that we are seeing now. It's a simple matter where the governor could have been allowed to complete his work and be told tomorrow, day after, come and record a statement about the guns that were found at your place.
Right.
And it would end there. So all this man of drama and too much stories from Kajwang just confirms our fears that it could be that some forces better known to Kajwang than us are slowly cooking things around.
So you feel these are trumped up charges against the governor? to fix him?
From experience, once upon a time, during the tear gas Mondays, when we were holding a demonstration in this country, police officers came to my home in Marinya, in Kakamega, carrying guns. And they started scaring people, saying, let's go and check there, let's go and check there. They went to this store, they went to that store, they wanted to dump the guns there, and then they say they have found guns in my home. But thanks to the proximity of my home to the shopping center, the entire shopping center came into the home and they chased away the police. So these things sometimes you just don't follow.
So you think there could be planted evidence?
Yeah, they can plant guns there. Oh, my God, how would a man have 8 guns? 2, yes. 3, maybe, but 8?
So certainly politically motivated.
And even if he has those guns,
Victoria,
even if he has those guns,
it's
quite possible that they could have, as I said, invited him, and he would have told them that, yes, I have 8 guns, but I have licenses for all of them. Then what would be the deal?
You know, it's too early to engage in absurdities. You can tell the mother of a child by how she mourns or how she weeps when the child dies. And maybe I'm mourning because Migori and Homa Bay are joined at the hip. In fact, they used to form what was called South Nyanza County Council. It used to be one. It was only separated because of devolution. And so when I speak about the plight of the people of Migori, Boni has no business claiming that that is irrelevant. I think he might be better suited to talk about Kakamega issues. But on the issues of planting of guns, I would refer Boni to the comments of Cliff Ombeta, the lawyer for Obado. He says that Obado has got licenses for the 5 guns that were found in his home. And 2 other guns belong to security.
Right.
And 1 other gun is unaccounted for. So I think just as a point of information, so that you can be on the safe path on this particular discussion.
Senator Wamatangi.
Yeah. First, Victoria, let me say good morning to our viewers. And I think it's important when we are debating, discussing such an issue, first to bring it out clearly. How do you own a gun in Kenya?
Right.
And who gives guns in the first place? And so when you have to be arrested for owning either too many guns or owning illegal guns, then how do you get there? First, you know, guns are given out by police. And licenses are actually given by police. And so you can either have licensed legal guns or illegal guns or unlicensed, period. So if you have 8, then you could only have 8 that are either legal or 1 that is illegal and 7 that are illegal. And so it becomes a very straightforward case that you are holding guns which you're not supposed to be having. And so in this particular case, I don't think that it's really a matter that would require over investigation or too much drama, in my view, because one, when you want to have a gun, you apply. They will come, inspect your home where you'll be keeping the gun. They'll see whether you have a safe. It is actually the in charge of police who will sign that document that you have a gun, and then they'll say, okay, you can have a gun. If you wanted to have an extra gun, then you have to take your license for variation. And they say, now, we have allowed you now to have 2. So it is very difficult for you to be having 8 unknown guns or 8 unlicensed guns. But then if you do, it has to be then legal. What I'm saying is that I think there's too much drama around this Obado story. I mean, there's a lot of hype about. I don't know what is it about Obado.
So there are no ulterior motives in your view.
I'm curious, like every Kenyan, because if you listened to what Kajwang said when he started and what also Boni has said, I think for the last 2 months, 3 months, there's been too much Obado in the news. I mean, from that end to this end, from the death of Sharon, again to the misappropriation of funds, and again, the guns.
Right.
And so
this
maybe what one would want to be asking themselves, critically is what is this thing about Obado? That's going on, really. I mean, where has he been? This guy was elected as a governor 6 years ago. I mean, that was in 2013. He's a second-term governor.
Right.
I mean, why has he been so much out there, in oblivion, and all of a sudden he's a national topic all over, every day in the headlines for 3 months continuously? I think it's not really adding up, in my view.
Do you think it could be his proximity to the DP, as Senator Kajwang?
Well, I don't want to say that because I have no evidence that it is his proximity to the DP. But like I've said, you ask yourself, I think you would say it's common sense. You would be asking yourself, what is it? What's happening? If you find that Wamatangi is in the news for the next 5 months every day for various reasons, and I've been here since 2004. Right. You'd want to be asking yourself, what has all of a sudden changed so much that
to warrant all of this,
that now Matangi is the talk of town, So I believe we'll see after the investigations.
All right. Yeah. Speaking of the talk of town, Raila and Waiguru bury the hatchet. This is page 6 on the Daily Nation. Of course, also Standard covered it as well. Opposition leader Raila Odinga and Migori Governor and Waiguru, who have not seen eye to eye for years over political differences, have announced the forging of a new friendship in the interest of national development. Senator Kajwang, your take on this?
I think there's nothing absurd in Raila Odinga meeting Anne Waiguru. In fact, it's Anne Waiguru who sued Raila Odinga for defamation.
Right.
And if anyone was to go low, or if anyone was to blink fast, then it has to be Anne Waiguru, because Raila Odinga has defended himself in the courts of law. He has even asked for certain affidavits, and he has even asked for certain information which would have made the case in the court even murkier. Remember that this matter started when Raila Odinga insisted that Anne Waiguru was responsible for the loss of billions of Kenya shillings in the National Youth Service scandal, right, which has been followed up by the media, has been followed up by Parliament, and the nation seems convinced, even though convictions have not been done, that money was lost. The Public Accounts Committee of Parliament has confirmed in its inquiries that money was lost. So what Raila Odinga said was that Anne Waiguru, because she was right at the center of the ministry that was responsible for National Youth Service, was responsible also for the loss of funds. And it is on that basis that Anne Waiguru took Raila to court for defamation. And I would say that it is Anne Waiguru who has gone to Raila to, to mend faces and make peace. Secondly, again, there are no permanent friends and enemies in politics. Boni Halwale was a NASA stalwart. In fact, from CORD to NASA. Nowadays, he's shaking his legs to a different dance. Sometimes politics is all about interest. But thirdly, and more fundamentally, is that Raila and Waiguru burying the hatchet, and maybe Waiguru withdrawing the defamation case against Raila Odinga, should not mean an end to the inquiry into the National Youth Service. Parliament should soldier on. The prosecutors should soldier on. This country needs to be told who the people are who stole millions of shillings and supplied air to government. That should not stop. This handshake should not stop any civil proceeding, any parliamentary proceedings over the National Youth Service matter.
And that is the next question, Senator Hawale. Does this kill investigations into NYS because of how strong Raila was against this investigation on Waiguru?
My reading and understanding is that the case between Waiguru and Raila was about the personal matter of defamation and slander that Waiguru felt Raila's remarks had visited on her. It had nothing to do with the case of the corruption within the National Youth Service. So this is a personal matter. If anything, I would like us to give credit to Waiguru. She has said, let us not continue with this matter, which is not adding value on the way the government is discharging of government. So it's not good for two senior government officers to be seen to be fighting in public. So she has arrested the matter. I think we should compliment her. As far as the NYS case is concerned, I want to agree with Senator Kajwang that the due process must be applied until the matter is brought to its logical conclusion.
Senator Wamatangi.
Well, I was looking at the photograph of the two there, and what comes to my mind, I was asking myself, is it a posture of team of rivals, or you know, or is this what one would call political posturing? You know, what will happen and what's starting to happen with Victoria right now is that, and this is common practice to politicians. You are going to see from now onwards to 2022 a lot of tectonic shifts. I mean, you find people will start moving, you know, and aligning and positioning and placing themselves, and suddenly, you know, because as we all know now, the former Prime Minister is now a very relevant person, if you want to use that language, in how things happen in the continent of Africa, in the country of Kenya. Of course, Raila-Waiguru, having been elected governor of Kirinyaga, has probably a lot of you know, optimism in how her future would look like. So trying to find, you know, relevance and climbing up the ladder, you know, strategically for each person, I think that's what will be happening. But otherwise, what you'd be asking yourself, in my view, is, as we discuss about it, of what value is it to the people of Kirinyaga, to this country, you know, as a nation moving forward? Is it because of their own personal interests? I mean, does me and you and the common person on the street have anything to benefit from this kind of you know, either realignments or friendship finding? Right. And I mean, those would be the partner. In my view, I think it's very personal to themselves. It has nothing to do with you know, a better country, a better future. Because if you look at the trajectory, what Raila is doing right now, he's a special envoy, you know, in the interest of Africa, to the AU. Waiguru is a governor in Kirinyaga. The likelihood that the two would very closely meet in the exercise of their duties is very rare right now in what they're doing. Exactly. So I believe it's really for themselves, and what probably they will be looking at is how are we going to be sitting come the next you know, dispensation of the next spell, and they want to be sitting in the right place. That's how politicians you know, work. And well, so be it. We wish them well, but of course there's a lot of you know, a lot of things will be changing. I can tell you that for sure.
And those changes causing for concern. In the Standard there was a question there, queries on whether this is the last nail in the coffin of the opposition. And of course concern brought on by Musalia Mudavadi, saying they've gone to bed with the government. At least the two principals, Kalonzo Musyoka and Raila Odinga. Is this the death of the opposition? Are we seeing a new national unity government coming before 2022, Senator Kajwang?
The problem with Kenya is that the opposition has been personalized. And it has been personalized to Raila Amolo Odinga. That when Raila is quiet, then people say that the opposition is dead. Musalia Mudavadi has a very unique opportunity in what is going on. And I watched him when Kalonzo Musyoka's father was being buried. And he made a statement which really every right-thinking Kenyan should consider. When he talked about the debt burden, and he appealed to the president, even though he appealed so softly that it did not sound very opposition-like. He sounded like a minister talking to the president and asking the president to intervene in something. Musalia Mudavadi has an opportunity to carve a niche for himself as the voice of the voiceless, the mtetezi. Because Boni has stopped being mtetezi. He can now start being the mtetezi. Because things are not rosy in Kenya. The debt issue that Musalia Mudavadi has been talking about is an issue that needs to be addressed. Just the other day, the Kenya shilling to the dollar, I think, moved from 103 to about 105. That means that Kenya's debt has increased in one day by about 50 billion Kenya shillings. That money will have to be repaid by somebody. You don't expect persons who have agreed to be spanner boys for the president to talk about these issues. And so the opposition should never be personalized to Raila Odinga or to Kalonzo Musyoka. I believe that the person with the most golden opportunity right now is Musalia Mudavadi, unless he's also angling for a position. But I would advise him that for relevance, he should attempt to fill in the shoes of those persons who were stridently in the opposition but have subsequently decided to work with the government. The problems of Kenya are too many. Corruption has not ended. We can't say that because Raila Odinga is now an AU special envoy, corruption has ended. We can't say that misuse of public funds has ended. We can't say that bad governance has ended. We can't say that our debt problems have ended. There are so many, you can count the things that are going wrong in Kenya. We need a voice. And that voice needs to come up. And I believe that there are men and women who can continue doing that. I don't think this is a coffin on the nail of the opposition, but an opportunity for alternative voices to emerge in Kenya's political dispensation.
Extremely difficult because politics, especially in Kenya, is so personality driven. When you see Raila out of the picture when it comes to being the opposing voice or dissenting voice, you're wondering who can fill it. Very big shoes to fill, to be very honest. Within that article, Mudavadi says, you know, this is a blank check, effectively, to the government to run its affairs. We have no one speaking on behalf of wananchi, as you said, Senator Kajwang, when it comes to VAT, fuel prices going up, and other things hitting the pockets of wananchi. Who's talking on their behalf is the question.
The highest platform, the highest national platform for exercising politics is found in Parliament. Once you are in Parliament, you have a platform that you can effectively use to push whatever agenda that you believe in. I am disappointed that a senator who is on that platform is looking for some other person outside Parliament to drive the opposition agenda. When we came out of the election, Senator Kajwang and others were elected on the opposition ticket. They are in Parliament sitting on the opposition benches. Why are they looking for Mudavadi to go and do their work? Mudavadi is not in Parliament. What you should be saying is that some of us who are members of the Orange Democratic Party on the opposition, we are finding it difficult to get ANC or Ford Kenya or Wiper members to work with us to push opposition agenda. Instead, it is ODM that has rushed in Parliament. They are pushing Jubilee agenda. You all remember that when we had the sugar crisis, John Mbadi, the leader of the minority, was speaking in the same language with the leader of the majority. So did Junet. So ODM, members of Parliament, if you have opted out of the opposition, just state it clearly instead of looking for Mudavadi. Mudavadi is doing his bit. He's not a member of Parliament. He's not a member of, he's not a member of the National Assembly nor the Senate. So that I don't look like I'm dwelling on theory, I recall during the Grand Coalition government, we had the same confusion where it looked like the opposition was gone. But we quickly organized ourselves as members of Parliament using that platform. Martha Karua, Kitobu Manyara, Danson Mungatana, myself, and a few others who I can't remember right now. And we formed a strong opposition, and is the reason why we kept the Grand Coalition government in check. Members of Parliament, and your salary.
So you're saying MPs, senators, and well, you included, are they playing their part to do that?
Good morning. I'm not in Parliament.
Okay, you're in the Senate.
Mimi ni mwananchi.
But still, you have a role to play.
Yes, I do.
As a leader. Yeah.
But I was just commenting so that we don't look like now that the opposition is having challenges, you don't heap it on Mudavadi, that you blame him that he's not up to it. The people to do it are the people in the National Assembly, the people in the Senate. They have a fantastic opportunity. As I said at the beginning, that is the highest national platform for exercising politics. You don't have to wait for a public function in the name of a wedding or a harambe or a funeral where some of us who are outside Parliament speak from. You have a platform there. Kajwang. True or false?
Are they squandering that opportunity?
Well, you know, Bonnie is deriving some interesting pleasure in bashing me this morning, and I don't want to fall into his trap. I agree with him that Parliament provides a forum for elected leaders to be the voice of the people, and we have done that. Just yesterday, we had a very interesting motion that was brought by Senator George Kaniri that was talking about the scourge of teenage pregnancies and what measures can be taken. Not long ago, we had a debate on the ballooning debt burden in this republic. And every day we make comments irrespective of party position.
Right.
In fact, you will find Kimani Wamatangi taking a position with the farmers of Kiambu, which sometimes is at odds with the position of the government. And so, yes, Parliament is a forum, and we have been doing it. Probably, whatever we say sometimes, what is reported, in fact, out of that debate we had yesterday on teenage pregnancies, what was reported was the suggestion that men should be castrated. But there were much more useful comments that came out of that debate. But as far as the role of Musalia Mudavadi is concerned, and I responded because he had mentioned, because you have cited an article that he wrote about the death of the opposition and the issue of the opposition giving the government a blank check. I must put the challenge back to him. And this is politics. It's about taking advantage of opportunities. And I think that Musalia Mudavadi or even Boni Khalwale can take advantage of the opportunity that has been presented by the acquiescence of Raila Odinga and Kalonzo Musyoka. There is a yawning gap for leadership. It will not be filled by the 67 senators and 349 members of the National Assembly, but it is a gap that calls for a leader to emerge. And in my estimation, if I look at the Kenyan landscape, I can tell you that I would think that Musalia Mudavadi would be one man who understands how government runs, who has been in the opposition, and this would be his golden opportunity to shine, and for him to be considered in 2022 as a possible president of this republic.
I mean, if we wonder if he is offered anything, would he fall as Kalonzo and Raila have? You hear Kalonzo saying, you know, I'm willing to run the errands for the president. Not too long ago, he was on the other side. It's extremely concerning whenever we see these things play out in the political realm. But what's your take, Senator Wamatangi?
Well, if I would use the narrative you used first, Victoria, because you said that the opposition that was there are now in bed with, with Jubilee. The question first I would be asking myself is how many beds are there in the first place? Because, you know, most of the time it looks like there are many beds, and you know, the results of that bedding have got to be, you know, siring and of course the birth of some product, and you'll be asking yourself, is whatever is being produced from that bedding, you know, useful for this country? And that's the perspective from which I would be looking at Mudavadi's comments.
Yeah.
Every time when I think about Musalia, I ask myself, is he a little behind or ahead of his time in his politics? Because, you know, he's come out as a man with a brand of politics that one has got to understand very well to understand who Musalia Mudavadi is, in my view. You know, when I analyze him as a politician, yeah, too, because his brand of politics has been, okay, one, he's been fairly consistent in how he approaches his issues, and two, he's come out as somebody who's reasonable in my view. Those are my views, personal, you know, for that matter. But then the question is, has he fitted well within the political system that we had, and his views, and that's why I would be saying what my two colleagues here are saying, is that is he best placed then to play that role? Because there was a cartoon that was, I think, in the day before yesterday's Nation that depicted Raila Odinga, you know, crossing through a kitchen and imagine carrying a whole plate full of chicken, you know, steaming hot, and then Kalonzo following, you know, and now he imagines it. And then, of course, you'd be asking, because then there was the photo of, or rather the caricature of Mudavadi and Wetangula now waiting in queue to pass. So, you know, you'd be asking yourself, is he looking at it as, you know, in a waiting position that he would get the opportunity also to cross and pass via the kitchen and get the benefits? But I believe he has a good opportunity to play in his position. I think if we could embrace his thinking, and I want to be a little different in this view by saying this, but I don't think that, Victoria, we are right all the time when we view opposition as a controversial or confrontational approach, that every time for you to be a good politician, or the politics to be seen to be having its effect, that there has to be two sides, which are literally, punching cross, ring.
Right.
I believe that people can be able to have an agenda. You know what the main issues are, and you drive towards them. But you can have, as always is said, constructive criticism along the way. And you can oppose, agree, disagree, but you're still moving towards the same direction. And that's, the direction of building a better country, for the interest of the many. And if we view our politics in that way, unfortunately, and I want to close with that so that my colleagues can have their say, but unfortunately, our experience has been all the time that we have come to be identified with and actually become addicted to the kind of politics where if you take away the Raila Odinga from the streets and take away James Orengo and take away all the other guys, carrying twigs and throwing stones and breaking glass and shouting and haki yetu and all the drama and hype, if you take away that, then it looks like the political scene is dead. But that is not so. I mean, countries who have made, progress that is substantial, that is useful, have used a different brand. And I don't want to go beyond that so that they can have the word. But Victoria, my challenge would be, why don't we take a moment to look and compare ourselves with other countries that have chosen a different path, a different brand of politics? Look like, for example, the collection of all the Scandinavian countries, I would say, is many of them, from Norway to Finland to all those countries. And they have governments that are ongoing. They have opposition within their whatever. But you really find that they are destroying themselves and their own infrastructure and what they have gained just for the day, just to gain political, burning points. Yeah. So I think the way we look at it is really how it ends up for us. Do we want a better country? Are we investing in the future with the kind of politics we're playing? And I would want to urge Mudavadi. I'm sure he's a guy who sees things in a different way.
I mean, do you want to respond to that? I
think I want to put in a small comment. We should not forget the fact that Kalonzo, Raila, Mudavadi, and Wetangula, the ones that are the former opposition, are actually the senior-most politicians on the opposition side. None of them has got less than 25 years under the belt by way of experience in politics. Therefore, when all is said and done, what we are seeing here is not an accident. Kalonzo and Raila are strategizing. They are strategizing so that they take steps that makes their politics of 2022 easier. There is the general feeling in the grapevine that the Mount Kenya region might not produce a presidential candidate. And therefore, it would be nice for Kalonzo Musyoka and Raila to do what they are doing so that when the voter sees Raila greeting Waiguru and hugging the president, they soften for purposes of wanting to vote for him in 2022. Similarly, when Kalonzo says that he's Mutu wa Mkono wa president, the voter who recognizes the president as the paramount chief of the Mount Kenya population says that, okay, then if he's at peace with our chief, we could give him a few votes. In fact, from where I come, people are starting to ask themselves, why can't Wetangula and Mudavadi also smell the coffee and start making themselves attractive to the Mount Kenya voters by this kind of optics? Remember, in politics, the right optics can actually earn you votes. And these optics that you have seen, Raila greeting Waiguru, Kalonzo saying that Mutu ya Mkono, both of them being very visible in social functions in Mount Kenya, be they funerals or whatever have you, it is simply creating the right optics for purposes of making yourself attractive to the voter in Mount Kenya.
I just want to go back to Senator Wamatangi's point. Is it really a move from toxic politics as we've known it to more progressive politics in your view? Or what Senator Halwale has just said in the view of people just positioning themselves for 2022? There's no shame in that.
Well, the toxicity of the pre-campaign period or pre-election period and post-election period, at least that was not something we were going to live with for a long time. There were days when every Monday we were eating tear gas on the streets. There's a day when I was with Bonnie in one car and we were coming from the airport and we were beaten severally along the way and we were ambushed by Mungiki around Machakos bus stop and then beaten by police as we were passing Uhuru Park. That was not the kind of life that one would have wanted to live in his own country, a country that is not at war. So it is a good thing we have moved from that toxic politics of grandstanding and confrontation and even violence to a point where we are now able to talk. What Kenyans are yearning for, and the symbolism in Seikuru was great because you saw all the senior politicians, with the exception of Wetangula, whose apologies were also conveyed because he was out of the country. They were all together and they were all condoling with one of their own. And Kenyans were asking, why then should we kill ourselves on behalf of these men and women who are hugging and who have agreed to be spanner boys for each other? I want to finalize by just interrogating the point that Bonnie raised on the role of Parliament in providing that alternative voice. If you look at the United States of America, the midterm elections has now brought about a balance of power, that the Republicans have the Senate, the Democrats have the House of Representatives. And that then assures Americans that even though you don't have an individual called an opposition leader, because Obama is in retirement, he can't be called an opposition leader, but the checks and balances on the presidency shall be exercised in Congress. And it is because they've matured a political process where parties matter. In Kenya, parties don't matter. It's really about the tribe. Today you can be in TNA, tomorrow you are in PNU, the next day you are in Jubilee, and the next day you are in Centenary Party of something. We must try to build that kind of discipline. So that when Bonnie says ODM MPs, for example, or Jubilee MPs, there is no homogeneity within those parties. If you look at Jubilee, now you have Jubilee A and Jubilee B. There's Jubilee A that supports the president's call that you stop talking about 2022, and Jubilee B, which is the Tanga movement, that believes that they have to talk about 2022. So we lack that political party discipline. We also lack a guiding ideology that can enable us in Parliament to provide that voice. But I believe also, because this handshake is about a couple of months old, and you know, prior to that, we had taken very firm positions on various issues. I believe we are in a process of forming, storming, and norming. And alternative voices shall emerge. Because I believe that in a parliament of 400 men and women, the cream of the political environment of this republic, we cannot have a situation where we go for 5 years while waiting for signals and instructions from outside Parliament. Those voices shall emerge. And in fact, from the Senate, sometimes we joke with Senator Wetangula that because he's a senior most and is a co-principal, then he should also start offering direction as an alternative voice. Because Raila Odinga and Kalonzo Musyoka, in as much as they will continue to talk about the ills in the public, they will not do it in the militant manner that they have done in the past.
Or believable manner anymore. Because of their positioning.
I like that. Militant is a better word.
You know, Victoria, just to add a quick one on what Senator Kajwang was saying. You see, really, the reason why you find that we are, as I said earlier, addicted to that kind of politics, and that addiction is dosed out, it's given out by politicians themselves, is because we have continuously, from time immemorial, used the wrong marking scheme to give points or to analyze what our politicians have done when we give them the mandate to be in office. Because and you can relook at recent history, for example, just before the last elections and the elections before. When elections are about an year away, observe politicians, you'll see. In parliament, people are pouring water on the speaker, others are undressing on the floor, people are on the streets shouting, and I mean, all manner of drama that is unimaginable. And the only thing that politician who was elected 4 years prior to come and articulate and foment and discuss and map a way for his people has been idle roaming the whole globe, you know, on trips and what have you, and per diem and all stories and political games. But now, because they have to go back to the electorate, and I was making that point so that also our viewers and the masses can know that we have to pull away and refuse to be partakers of this dope anymore. Because as long as that is the norm, as long as we continue that way, politicians will get away with it every day. And so when you hear that agitation from you know, where is the opposition? It is dead. It's because people are missing. They are suffering from what you would call withdrawal syndromes, from what they are used to having. So you know, the moment when we observe, like I said earlier, model around. If you look at debate, like for example in the House of Commons, those guys are not agreeing necessarily on every day. You know, you find the Conservatives, whatever, they have this view, they oppose their own. But that is as far as it gets, because they have got their topmost deliverables. They have got the practicals. They've got what you must achieve and where the focus is for the whole country. And I believe that's what we should start nurturing and teaching our people, even our voters. And for our voters then now to start asking Kajwang and Halwale and myself and other people, when you go to the platform to ask for votes, you tell the people we are going to help to do this road. We are going to help to build our hospitals. But when you get out there immediately, you get elected, then the story changes. Now it becomes about yourselves, it becomes about hating me and hating Victoria and saying they are this and that. Then the script changes. And I think once we've corrected that, we should be able to have a more neat, better political future. As the world evolves, we should move along with it and make sure that we tidy our game and our generations coming, you know, can answer to a different political call.
Very interesting observation that the electorate is suffering from withdrawal symptoms.
I mean,
of this political toxicity.
Yeah, after you know, Halwale spoke about the Mondays, what they called Black Mondays.
Tear gas
Mondays. And people would be all over the screens watching, you know, whether Bonnie would be eating tear gas, whether the other one would be doing this, you know, and then that's what people are sometimes missing.
All right. On that